I read a story online today. It had to do with gasoline. I'm going to tell you the story, and then I'd love to get your opinion. Now, I don't remember where I read this, Quora, Reddit, something like that. And the guy said that he had his motorcycle out and he was running out of gas. In fact, I think he had run out of gas. And he got up to the gas station and they were just closing up for the night, and the gas station attendant said, "I just shut down the pumps. I'm not going to turn them on again for you." And this guy was pleading with him, and apparently he wasn't going to change his mind. So he had an idea, and he decided to go up to one of the pumps and see if there was any gas left in the pump line itself. And so he stretched out the pump, and a little bit of gas poured out. He squeezed the handle, and apparently whatever gas was in the line itself, in the hose, came out. And he said he went up and down the 12 pumps, and I don't know how many ounces or a cup or however much gas he got out of there. It was enough for him to fire up his bike and get home. So, first of all, I can tell you from experience that you really can do this. How do I know? We're going to have to wind up that Wayback Machine a lot of years to when I was 16 years old. And there was a place, back then I lived in Milwaukee. And for those of you who don't watch the channel regularly, I'm now down in Southwest Florida. But I used to live in Milwaukee. And when I was a kid, there was a place, maybe it's still there, I don't know. There was a place in Milwaukee called the Moon Fun Shop. And the Moon Fun Shop had all kinds of novelties. And one of the things that you could buy there, and I did, was a police-style red revolving light. Now, this light was, I don't know, it was maybe 6 inches around, maybe a little less. And it had a dome on top of it. And you plugged it into your cigarette lighter, and that red light would go. I don't know what it's for. I think they sold it as a party light or something. I knew what I was going to do with it. I wanted to pull people over. After all, I was 16 years old. Who wouldn't believe I was a cop? So me and a friend of mine, my dad at the time had a great big giant Dodge. And this thing looked like a police cruiser. And so we took my dad's car out and we put this thing on the front. Believe me, there's a reason I'm telling you this story. It does go back to this guy that took gas. And we put it on the front of the dashboard of this big Dodge. It was a Dodge Monaco, if you want to look it up and see what they look like. I remember one of the people he pulled over was Vinny. Well, I'm not going to tell you Vinny's last name. Vinny might still be out there. But Vinny was a great big guy. He was 6'4", 6'5", had to go about 275. And it wasn't like he was a muscular guy. He was just a big blob of a man. And, he was a high school kid, but he was huge. And he had this wild hair, and I don't know. He just was probably not the right guy to choose to pull over. He had a orange Ford Torino. It was maybe a 74 or 75, something like that. 76, older Torino. And we pulled him over. So Vinny pulls over. Of course, I wasn't going to pull up behind him. We sped by, but see, here was the mistake. My buddy leans out the window and starts pointing and laughing at Big Vinny. Vinny chased us all over Milwaukee that day. That city has never seen such a car chase. So the reason I'm telling you this is just because it's a funny story. But what I found out is we did run out of gas once. And we ran out, and we found that we were on about, those of you, if you ever get to Milwaukee, I'll kind of give you an idea. We are on about, I would say, 96th and Greenfield Avenue. And the cap to that police light would unscrew. So we were thinking, what are we going to do? And on 92nd, and Greenfield, right across the street from St. Aloysius Church, there was a mobile gas station. I don't know if it's still there, but we did exactly that. It was after hours, and we took each gas pump and we gave it a squeeze, and by golly, gas came out. And we went up and down each of those gas pumps until we had this cup filled up. And from what I recall, we did not put it in the gas tank because I don't know how we would have poured it in for one thing, and I don't know if 1 cup of gas would. Well, it's enough to get a motorcycle going. I believe this guy's story, because a motorcycle is gravity fed. You put it in there and it's going to fire up your bike. I don't know if it was enough to go through a gas pump and everything. So I do remember feeding it directly into the carburetor, which you couldn't do with a car today because most cars today are fuel injected, right? We put it directly in the carburetor, fired up enough that it got us up to the top of the hill at 92nd Street, I think. We figured if we could, from my recollection, now this is, 10, 12 years ago. Once we got up to about 92nd or 91st Street, then we're coasting downhill. And we got to at least the Wisconsin State Fair Park. So that's what we did. So anyways, the story behind the story is, yes, it is possible to take whatever gas is in a pump and put it into a container. Now, I don't know if modern pumps allow that or not, but when people stop filling their tank and the gas line goes like that, gas is in there. So when you hang it up, it's not a lot. Those, hoses aren't that big around, but there is gas in there. And, you get a few ounces and go to the next one, get a few ounces. You can get a cup or two of gas. I don't know. So here's the question. It came up in whatever website I saw this on. People started arguing about whether or not he was stealing gas. And someone even said they heard about this and they got arrested. And I'm thinking to myself, the only thing I could think you could get arrested for would be trespassing, maybe. But you sure couldn't get arrested for stealing gas because that gas had been paid for. It's already paid for. If it's in the line, if the last person to use that pump, if they would have lifted up the line or whatever, they could have got the gas out. So the gas has already been paid for. So whatever gas was left in there, first of all, the last guy to use the pump probably didn't get ripped off, because the last guy to use that pump probably did the same thing. He got the benefit of whatever was in the hose from the previous guy, and so on and so forth, until you got to whomever had the wherewithal to really empty out the hose. So I would say that it's free gas for the taking. It's been paid for. It doesn't belong to the gas station. It essentially is, it's like if I would go into a store and buy a 12-pack of Coke, and then I would take one can and leave it on the sidewalk outside the door of the store. It's not stealing. I left it behind. Someone could come and pick it up and take it. So I'd like to know your opinion on this. First of all, I'd like to know, maybe I'll try it next time. Next time I'm all done pumping gas, I'll turn the pump off, or I'll complete my purchase, and then I'll see how much actually comes out. I have to admit, I'm going to admit idiocy right now, something I did once. I was a kid back then too, so I'm still only 16, 17 with this next story. I did the same thing. I kind of wanted to see how much gas, it must have been before we had done this because I would have known, but I wanted to see how much gas was left. So when I was done filling my bike, I thought, okay, when I'm done filling the bike, then I'm going to give it a squirt just off to the side and see how much actually comes out. Well, I squirted it and a lot came out because I forgot to turn the pump off first. But does it still work? I'm going to have to try that next time. Finish my whole purchase, complete everything, and then or maybe before I start pumping, see if anything comes out. It'd be interesting. But the question is for you, do you think there was thievery there? Or was it just clever ingenuity on the part of the biker? Because there were people that are arguing that he stole gasoline. And they couldn't say whether he stole it from the gas station or he stole it from the person that came before him, but he stole it from someone. And I think differently. I think that gas was paid for. The fact that somebody chose to take it with them, it's their fault. What do you think? Let me know down below. As always, I encourage you to like and share the video. Leave your comments down below. If you haven't already, please subscribe by clicking my face in the corner. And don't forget to ring that bell icon up above. That way you'll know when I post new videos. Thanks for joining me. I'm Mark, and this is UberHints.